What's going on, friends? Welcome back to another episode of the podcast. I'm back with my co-host, my beautiful and hilarious wife, Zoe.
Hello.
Today, we have a nice and easy Q&A for you guys. That stands for question and answers.
Thank you.
And I posted a thing on my Instagram asking you guys what you want to know from me and Zoe. And so we got some good questions and we're going to answer them.
Mostly you.
Yeah, but if for future, if they do have questions about maybe injuries and rehab things more specifically,
Hit me up.
we can gear them towards you. And this is coming out Monday, February 27th. So if you are listening to this on Monday, or at least this coming week, little updates for the high school weight room. We got 3 new benches, adjustable benches. So that's very exciting. They're the same ones that we have now. They are York.
But they're white on bottom.
Yeah, instead of gray, they're white, and I think they look really good. And so they're the same benches, but we have 6 squat racks. And we only had 3 benches, so now we have 3 more for 6 total. Every squat rack has a bench.
Yeah, and for anybody listening out there, if you have any good leads on affordable barbells for high school,
We need them.
let us know your recommendations, because the other day, one literally fell apart.
Yeah, our barbells are pretty old and pretty janky, so we need some new ones. But as new and as nice as our weight room is at Yarmouth High School, there still needs to be some upgrades, I guess you could say.
And weightlifting equipment is not cheap.
No, it's not. So
So just let us know your recommendations if you have any.
yeah. In addition to the 3 benches, I attempted to build a DIY Vertec. And for those of you who don't know what a Vertec is, it's basically just this thing that measures your jump. You jump up, you hit what do you call that?
Sticks?
There are these sticks that are out, and you jump up, you hit them, and that will tell you how high you jumped. I tried to make my own for the weight room, and it came out okay. I'd give it
Definitely DIY.
I'd definitely give it a 6.5 out of 10.
Wow.
What, do you think that's high?
It's just not done yet.
It's done. Well, it's done for the most part. It just needs one little screw, and it's done for the most part. It's done enough.
It'll work for our setting.
It'll work for our setting and for now. And the reasons why I didn't buy one is because they're $800 a piece, whereas I made this one for, I think, maybe $70.
Yeah, and as you can tell, there are other things in line.
Like barbells.
Yeah, that have higher priority.
Yeah. But either way, whether it ends up in the trash or broken or both, it was a fun little project to work on.
It would be a fun one to, bring down to the turf and just, mess around with one day.
True.
No stock in the game.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
All right. Let's get on to the first question. What does me and Zoe's current training look like? Zoe, why don't you go ahead first and answer yours, since yours is a little bit different than mine.
Yeah, mine's a little different because right now I can really only train upper body.
Arm form every day.
Every day. So we have to be kind of cognizant of load and how much I'm doing and whatever, but that doesn't stop me.
That's like a high school boy's dream, is just doing arms every day.
Yeah, it's fun, but it gets a little boring when you see a nice trap bar and you're like, oh, I could deadlift right now. Or ooh, some front squats, but then you're like, ooh, can't get into that position, it hurts. But anyway, I currently work out Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Sometimes Saturday. It depends on if Jenny's around and what we're doing, but usually Saturdays. I usually do 3 series a day that have 2 or 3 exercises a piece, and they usually focus around one major exercise lift, and then mixed in with some accessories, core and knee rehab, and then yeah, that's it. But we try to space out. I do pull-ups on
I think Mondays and Fridays.
Mondays and Thursdays.
Oh.
We changed it up.
Oh.
To give myself like enough like rest between those days to get like let my muscles like kind of like come down, whatever. But every day the focus is like different. So like one day it might be like more back focused, and then like one day it might be more like shoulder, deltoid, trap focused, and then one day it might just be like arm farm Friday, like just destroy your arms and
with legs sprinkled in here and there.
Yeah,
at least what you can do for legs.
Baby legs. But that's kind of mine, kind of chill, just upper body. Jenny's is a little bit more sport specific.
Right now, I'm training Monday. I'm training basically every day except either Sunday or Wednesday. So 6 days a week. Mondays and Thursdays are my lower body days. Tuesdays and Friday. No, that's wrong. No, that's right. Mondays and Thursdays are my lower bodies. Tuesdays and Fridays are my upper bodies. And then Wednesday is just strictly like light conditioning, tempo runs, zone 2 stuff. It's not fun or sexy. And then Saturday, at least for the past few weeks, I've been able to play touch rugby here in Maine. And so I would do light resisted sprints and then a lot of like jumps and hops and some arms just for fun on Saturday before I actually go play rugby for like an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Can't forget about Thursday night club soccer.
Oh yeah, and then Thursday I have club soccer. But I don't know if I'm actually going to be able to finish out the season because practice is going to be starting soon for rugby. And then that's when we play soccer. And rugby is my priority. Soccer was just for fun. And I'm not good at soccer.
It's got one move, people.
And it's very slow. I've scored though.
Good job.
I've scored I think 2 or 3 times now. So
Soccer league, this adult soccer league, no joke. People go hard.
They do go hard, and then I just get mad because I'm bad at soccer, and then I just start getting physical, and I have to remind myself that I can't do that. But yeah, that's my current training. It's just, and my leg days, I say lower body days because it really is, I sprint, I do maybe 1 or 2, or 1 barbell or explosive power movement, I do 1 strength movement, and then maybe 1 to 2 supporting movements. So for example, tomorrow I'm going to do 3 10-yard sprints with maybe I'll change it to a 20. I'll do sprints, and then I'll do barbell cleans, and then I'll do barbell deadlifts, rear foot elevated split squats, and Nordic hamstring curls, and I think with some core in there. But those last 2 exercises, there's only 2 sets. So total for my legs, I believe I'm only doing 8 sets and then 12 if you count the cleans.
How did you already said this and I just missed it, but how many days do you actually sprint a week?
2 to 3. And that, because if you sprint every day, I have a hard time believing you're actually going your 95%, and that's kind of what research has shown to be necessary to actually get the stimulus we need to get faster. And so when I sprint Monday, those are more acceleration based days, and then Thursday is more of a max velocity top speed, so my longer sprints, and then Saturday is more resisted sprints. But once the snow kind of melts on the turf, I'm going to do my sprint sessions on the turf to get it like a little bit more realistic, and so I'm not slipping in the hallway.
Gotcha. Okay, question number 2 says, I'm a 15-year-old and I need to get...
Why'd you say it like that?
Well, I was going to say 15-year-old athlete, but I didn't say that, so I don't... Everybody's an athlete, but this one just says, I'm a 15-year-old and I want to get bigger. Actually, it says I need to get bigger. What do I do to achieve this goal?
You gotta eat and lift heavy weights. It really is that simple. And for all of you who are like, I eat a lot. No, you don't. Because if you did, you would be gaining weight. And it's just that simple. None of that, I have a fast metabolism, whatever. You might have a fast metabolism. You just need to eat more. And you need to do it consistently as well as lift consistently. you can't be skipping breakfast, or if you are skipping breakfast, you have to make up for it later in the day. So find foods that you like, find a schedule, like an eating schedule that works well for your routine, and stick to it. And then stick to a solid weightlifting training plan to support whatever sport you're going to play.
I think the finding a food schedule that works well for you is important, because I know for all you high schoolers out there that there are some days that you probably have like a science class or a music class or something that like you can't eat a snack in that class, so you need to plan accordingly. Maybe eat a snack on the way to class, or like in the hallway, or something like that. Like, make sure that you're like getting your food in.
And if you're like, I don't like breakfast foods, then don't eat breakfast foods for breakfast. No one says...
Jenny eats spaghetti for breakfast.
I do. I eat chicken parm. I eat burgers. I eat whatever I want for breakfast, because no one says, it's a made up rule that you have to have breakfast foods for breakfast. Just eat something that you're going to like and is going to get you the calories you need.
Consistently throughout the day, because you don't want to starve yourself all day and then binge at night.
Yeah. And it's like... Yeah, find foods you like, make it fit into your schedule, and don't go long periods without eating.
Especially if you're an in-season athlete and you're, like, competing and stuff.
I think that also goes to why kids think that they eat so much, is because they'll go for such long periods of time without eating, and then they eat a ton of food all at
Especially
once.
right after school.
Yeah, and then they're like, well, I eat a lot, and it's just like, well, you do in that one little time frame, but then you have the other 23 hours of your day. Like, how are you filling that with like your sleep and your eating and things like that? Yeah, so make sure you eat food, prioritize carbs in that, and then train hard. Like, you have to be training hard if you want to put on muscle.
Okay, Jenny, question number 3. This is kind of relevant to us this week and, like, kind of going forward, too. How long should my workouts be?
Your workouts should take as long as they need to take to get the stimulus in. And so I think... in general fitness world and like just in society, workouts typically take an hour. That's usually how much you can successfully fit, or like you can fit a significant, I don't know what I'm trying to say here. I do know what I'm trying to say, but I can't say it. An hour is a good time frame for you to get what you need to do in. Anything more than that, I'd say anything more than 90 minutes is like almost too much. Like if you're just training for your sport, or even just training for training purposes. And like I've had workouts that only last me 30 minutes. It's like I get in, I do my sprints and one lower body exercise, and I'm like, that's all I need to do today, because I have this saying, stimulate, don't annihilate. Especially in season, because if you're an athlete, the purpose is sports performance, not weight room performance. So if you are spending too much time in the weight room and it's detracting from your sports performance, our priorities are not lining up.
Yeah, and workouts totally take like different amount of time, because like, for instance, like when Jenny and I work out tomorrow, like I'm only doing upper body and Jenny's doing a lower body lift, so like my rest periods might be a little shorter than Jenny's rest periods are, because she's probably going to be lifting a lot heavier. Yeah,
lower body sessions tend to take a little bit more time just because you're resting longer. I think people have this misconception that when you're in the weight room you constantly need to be like lifting, when in reality
rest
I know rest. When in reality most of your time is spent resting, which is an interesting concept.
We can talk about that on another day.
Yeah. But yeah, like an hour, no more than 90 minutes. And if you're training for 90 minutes, like either you're resting too long, yeah, or you're just like, I don't know how effective that session is.
Okay, you ready for the next one?
Yeah, hit me with it.
I think you're going to be passionate about this one.
Oh boy.
Do I actually need to do the warm-up?
Yes.
Why?
I should just just do it. But see,
well, Jenny makes it fun.
So like the whole point of the warm-up is there's this acronym called RAMP, and it's raise, activate, mobilize, potentiate. And so that stands for raise your heart rate, activate the muscles that you're going to use in your session and the movement patterns, mobilize those positions, and then kind of stimulate, potentiate your nervous system. That way you're actually ready to lift heavy weights. If you come in from after school and you're just like, you were dog tired from a day of classes and you're just like unenthusiastic, and then you go to lift, everything's going to feel really heavy. But if we can kind of get you going, get you excited, like your body and your mind excited before the lift, everything is going to, one, feel a little bit easier, but it's going to allow us to lift a little bit heavier. And when we can lift heavier, we're going to get better results.
Yeah, I'll be the first one to say I hate warming up.
I don't think anyone actually loves warming up in the traditional sense. And so that's why I try to like play games with everyone, but there's also hidden things in the game. So like, even if it's just a silly game of tag, in a game of tag, you have change of direction, tracking, acceleration, deceleration. Like, there's so many minute things in there that athletes don't think about, nor do they need to. But as a coach, it's my job to think about, and it's my job to make the warm-up fun, because that's the whole potentiate thing. If we're doing the same warm-up over and over again, it's just boring, and that's not going to elevate your lift.
Yeah, and if you have a good warm-up and you hit the weights, like, in a good stride or whatever, like, the workout is more fun, and you're, like, you don't get frustrated, you don't get, well, not all the time, but, like...
Yeah. You're more likely to hit the numbers that you want to hit. So, yes, do the warm-up.
Or find a warm-up that works well for you. Change up your warm-up.
Yeah.
Play a game.
And, like, I hate to break it to you, but you need to stretch. Like, there are just some things. I believe that strength training in full range of motion is a form of stretching and mobility. However, you still need to get in those range of motions before putting them under load, because if you try to load it before your body is actually ready to be in those positions, we're probably setting ourselves up for failure.
Yeah, and I feel like that kind of leads into our next question that says, I'm really sore after my workouts. How do I fix it?
Well, one, we need to address why you're so why you're sore. Why you are so sore.
You're really so sore right now.
Have you seen the volleyball TikTok where he's like, Coach, he's literally grittying on the sideline. Have you seen that one?
Yeah, I have.
Okay. That's what I think of. Anywho.
Yeah, because soreness can come from, like, a lot of different things. Like, is it your first time in the weight room, like, ever?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Back to the question. Why are you sore? Because you could be doing, like, if you are new to the weight room, you're going to be sore no matter what, which is why it's actually so important to ease into your training rather than go from 0 to 100, because it comes down to that consistency thing. So if you train for the first time ever and you're so sore that you can't train again for another week, like, how effective was that training session really? Because now you're out for another 6 to 7 days, versus if we held back on volume and you only did maybe 1 or 2, maybe 3 exercises for your lower body, for example, on a Monday, and then, like, yeah, you're going to be sore because you're not used to it, but you'll be able to hit legs again on Thursday or Friday. And so we're stimulating the muscle at least twice a week, which we need to see results.
Yeah, and, like, fixing the soreness can come from, like, doing, like, a warm-up and a cool-down, too.
Yeah, and I think another thing, normally when people get really sore, it's they're doing a lot of volume and a lot of eccentric work. So the slow, like the lowering portion. So, for example, if I'm doing a back squat on the way down, like sitting, bringing the barbell down, that's the eccentric portion. So if you're doing a lot of eccentric work, that's going to tear muscle. I say tear muscle, but like microfibers, right? It's going to cause a little bit more muscle damage. than if you weren't to do super slow eccentrics, or if you were just...
Muscle damage isn't bad. Muscle damage creates
right.
muscle growth.
Well, it's associated with it. And so, like, you need... Yes, muscle damage will happen, but we can adjust how much is going to happen, especially if you're always sore. But if this is just kind of general soreness that you're feeling after a hard workout, things like foam rolling, I hate to say it, but the ice bath, stretching,
like mobility, yoga.
Yeah, like just movement. Yeah, I'm gonna take the ice bath back. You should really only be using the ice bath, I'd say, in season or preseason, because in the off season, the whole point is to kind of create that damage so your body can adapt and become stronger. And while the ice bath shows improvements in recovery and a whole bunch of other things, it kind of stunts or like limits the amount, like the recovery process from a muscle standpoint of getting stronger and like hypertrophy and things like that. But we can go into that and do a deeper podcast episode. But to kind of aid your soreness, foam rolling, mobility, move your body to get the blood flowing. And because when you get that blood flowing, you get oxygen and new blood into the tissue, and that will help with muscle repair.
Yeah, and make sure that like you're hydrating and like eating food to like nourish yourself to be ready for like your next workout.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, last question of this podcast is, I'm already working out 5 to 6 times a week. What else outside of working out can I do to improve my fitness?
Ooh, that's a good one. One, good for you for training that much. That's a solid number. I think 5 to 6 days is kind of the sweet spot for training. I don't know what type of training you're doing, so that would be kind of nice to know, but let's assume 5, it's like the weight room. You're just doing like weight room training.
In your commercial gym.
Yeah. Depending on the sport you're playing will depend on your conditioning levels. So you could maybe swap out 1 or 2 of those days and make them conditioning days. One of them a hard conditioning day, one of them an easy conditioning day. Or even, yeah, I would do that. And then just make sure you're sleeping enough and eating and drinking enough. I think the sleep thing always gets preached on, and I understand why, because it's wicked important. But make sure whatever sleep you are getting, it's quality sleep. So even if you're going to bed at like 10, 11 o'clock and you're getting up maybe like 6:30, like that's still 7 to 8 hours of sleep. That's a solid number. So as long as you make sure kind of like you're putting the phone away, I think research says like an hour before bed, but like let's be real, like we're sitting on it. But like try to put it away maybe a half hour before you go to sleep. Get like an actual alarm clock for your room instead of using your phone, just so it's not in your room or it's not on your bedside, so you're not tempted to kind of pick it up. And yeah, just make sure you're eating the foods that you need to recover and staying hydrated with water and electrolytes. At BPN Subs, link in bio.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
Yeah. I think, like, just something, like, just make sure, like, you're having fun with it, and, like, you might, like, look at, like, what your stimulus and stuff is, because if you're not seeing improvements in the weight room right now, maybe you're, like...
Yeah, I think that's one of the last things we can touch on, especially for this question. If you're not seeing improvements in your performance, either in the weight room or in your sport, we need to reevaluate what the recipe for success is and what you're doing, because if you're just keep trying to do the same thing even though it's not getting you the results you want, that's what they call the definition of insanity. So
yeah, and your recipe for success might be different than my recipe for success.
Yeah, and everyone's got different taste buds. I like that analogy. So yeah, just look at your training and really be objective about it. What do you think you need to add to it or take away from it to make you successful?
Exactly. Well, anyway, that was fun.
Yeah, those are all the questions we got. I like doing this Q&A style podcast. I think maybe we can make it a little bit more regular of a thing. If you ever have a question that you want to get answered, you can hit up me. Either at maine, M-A-I-N-E .gains, G-A-I-N-Z, or at _Gainster, G-A-I-N-Z-T-E-R, on Instagram. You can always just shoot me a DM, or I'll be putting these Q&A bubble things up on my story a lot. So
yeah, and it's like a judgment-free zone. So
yeah, literally whatever you have a question for, ask it. And like if you don't want it on the podcast, and we can talk offline and I'll give you a more direct answer.
Yeah, don't be afraid to get personal with it, like what your favorite ice cream flavor is.
I put the personal in personal training.
Thanks everybody for a great episode.
No. Okay, last thing before we sign off. This podcast is not sponsored by anyone or anything, but I want to give you guys options. The high school weight room is opened, like the Yarmouth High School weight room is open to all Yarmouth High School kids.
And technically teachers.
Yeah, athletes are regular students, so you can always come in there. There is a whiteboard with the weight room schedule outside of the gym, like every day. And so that's where you can see the schedule for what teams are going to be in there. And if you want to work with me directly, we can work one-on-one, or I have another high school group at CrossFit Yarmouth that meets Monday, Wednesday, Fridays from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. So that's an option.
Really fun group of kids who are motivated.
And it's a small group, right? It's capped at 12 kids. Right now there's like 5 to 6 in it. So if you're really looking to kind of take your game to the next level, sounds so cheesy, but
and the kids in this CrossFit Yarmouth class, they're from all different towns, not just Yarmouth kids, like
right,
from surrounding towns,
all different training backgrounds. And then lastly, we talked a lot about nutrition on tonight's episode. I am a Bear Performance Nutrition ambassador, and so if you are looking to get supplements, or if you have questions about supplements, you can reach out. I made a joke about it, but I do have a link. Unfortunately, right now, you don't get anything from that link and you just support me, but it's an option. So if you're struggling to hit your protein, if you are thinking about starting to take creatine, like electrolytes and G1M Sport, which is just a carb drink, kind of like Gatorade, like reach out to me, we can chat, but that is the brand that I use and trust, and I've been it tastes delicious. And I've been using them since college. So
yeah, long time, girl.
I know, I'm old. With that, we're going to end the episode there. Thank you guys for listening. Make sure you leave a 5-star rating and review, share with a friend, and subscribe. And I'll talk to you in the next one.
Peace.